In this video, we're going to learn for loops. So what do we need loops for? Imagine that we would like to add to our JavaScript paragraph numbers between 0 and 4. And every time we add a number, we want a line break before the number. So we know how to do that using the getElementsById method. Let's try it. So document getElementsById my paragraph. And then we go into the inner HTML and adding, first of all, a line break. And then we're adding the number. So we're starting with 0. Okay. And then 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're running this code several times so that we get this result. Okay. Now, if we want to go until 100, we will need to duplicate this same piece of code 100 times. And we don't want to do that. So there is a better way of doing this. It's by using for loops. So let's see how it works. So we need to use the JavaScript keyword for, followed by parentheses where we're going to put some statements. And then we're going to put the piece of code that we would like to run every time. So in our case, every time we're running almost the same piece of code, but what's changing here is the parameter that we are using in here. So we're going to use a variable I for that, and then we're going to write the statements inside the parentheses using I. So first of all, we're going to initiate I to 0, because the first piece of code is using I as 0. And then we're going to say that every time we would like to run the code, first we need to verify that I is less than 5. Okay? And every time we run the code, I goes up by 1. So first one is 0, then we go up by 1, and then we run for 1, and so on. So I++. So I++ is the same as I becomes I plus 1. It's exactly the same. Okay? So I++. So basically what's happening is at the beginning I is equal to 0. We run this for I equals 0. Okay, so we're actually running exactly this line. And then I becomes 1. We test this. Yes, 1 is less than 5. We run for I equals 1. We add another 1 to I, and then I becomes 2. We run. I becomes 3. We run again. Becomes 4. We run. And then I becomes 5, we cannot run because we cannot verify this condition. And then we're going to stop there. All right. So let's get rid of our old code and test if this is working. Yes, it is working. Let's test for 11. And then it does work. We're going until 10. And let's try 101, for example. And it is working. We are going until 100. All right. So that's how for loops work. Okay. Let's go back to 4, and now we can see that it is working, or 5. All right. Now let's go for another example. Let's add numbers to power 2, and this time we would like to start with 7 square, and then go to 6 square until 1. Okay. So in this example, I is not going up by 1 every time, it's going down by 1 every time. So how do we do that? So first of all, we would like to add to the paragraph in HTML, we want to add a line break plus, so rather than I, we're adding here, we're adding I to the power of 2, so we need to use the method power of mat. Okay, and it needs 2 parameters. First parameter is going to be I, and then the power is 2. Okay, so the first number we said is going to be 7 square, so 7. So initiates I at 7. Okay, and the condition that we are checking every time is I is greater than 0, and every time I will go down by 1. Okay, so it's I minus minus. All right, so let's try it, and it is working. So we've got 7 square, 6 square, until 1 square. All right, so now let's go for another example. This time let's use an array. So let's define an array. Let's go back to our shopping list array. So let's go for bread, milk, eggs. Okay, so this time we would like to add to our paragraph the item values of the array following a line break. So all we're going to do is going to be for, okay, let's write the piece of code first. So we want to add a line break every time followed by the item value. So we're gonna need name of the array and the index. Okay, so at the beginning it's going to be I is equal to 0, and the condition is going to be I less than 3, and usually we just use the length property of the array. Okay, and every time I goes up by 1. Okay, and it works. All right. Okay, let's go for another example. This time we're gonna build another example where we change item values inside an array. So let's go for an array of numbers. Okay, number list. Let's go 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. All right. And this time we want to increase each of these numbers by 10. Okay, so we're going to go for, so every time we would like to access the item value using the index, okay, and we're just going to add 10 to that item. So to initiate, so we're going to initiate I to 0, and then I is less than the length of the array, and then finally I is going up by 1 every time. And now let's after the for loop, let's just add the array to our paragraph and see what the result is going to be. So okay, we didn't add a line break. Let's just add a line break to make it more readable. Okay, and we can see that, okay, now it should work. Okay, so now we can see that's the all the elements or the items item values of the array, they have all increased by 10. Okay.